Where were you September 11th, 2001? Many people have vivid memories at home, at work, at school. One Ohio Valley native started his day in Washington, D.C. and ended up at the Pentagon. He shared his memories from that dark day with 7 News anchor Catherine Guyon.
It was a sad day. There's really no word strong enough to capture the devastation of 9/11. And sad is how retired Washington, D.C. Battalion Fire Chief Victor Segley describes it. The Fallensby native fought the fire at the Pentagon, lost friends, and asks that we never forget them.
Everybody went to work that day thinking they were going to go home that day.
Nearly 3,000 people never made it home, but Victor Segley did. He was working as a sergeant with the Washington, D.C. Fire Department, sitting in the chief's office, watching the planes hit the World Trade Center.
Phones started ringing in the office, like, did you just see that? And you know, something's going on. And the next thing you know, the bells went off for a plane into the White House.
Then they got the call. A plane hit the Pentagon. With the downtown companies already at the White House, his team rushed to Arlington.
Everybody was just stopped and out of their cars. The amount of smoke coming out of the Pentagon, I just couldn't believe my eyes. It looked like the whole, southwest part of D.C. was on fire.
Segley says when he got on the scene, he was focused on fighting the fire, and the gravity of the situation hadn't yet set in. His crew teamed with others and headed into the interior of the Pentagon to fight the raging fire.
And at that time, they said to get out because another plane was inbound, and it was going to hit us again. So, we're all looking at each other going, we ain't getting out of here. So it was an eerie feeling at the time that we could be hit again.
That wouldn't happen, so they continued through the rings of the Pentagon for hours on end.
We didn't find anybody alive. One room had people still around their desks, didn't even get a chance to move.
Eventually, the chief pulled Segley and others from fighting the fire and sent them to rest. That's when the loss set in.
Somebody asked me, did you hear about New York? And I'm like, yeah, I know, the towers got hit. And they say, yeah, they fell. I'm like, what, pieces of the tower fell? And they said, no, they both fell completely.
Segley had friends in New York City's fire departments.
I knew how those guys go, and I knew they'd all be in that building. And if it came down, I knew we had a lot of firemen dead. And to find out that 343 of them died, that's when it hit me.
Some of those friends were among the 343.
I just hope people don't forget that. We put our lives on the line every time we go out the door, but no one expects to die like that.
Segley says that day should serve as a reminder to never take a single day for granted. There were many heroic moments to come from 9/11, and one was Segley's friend, a firefighter who survived the collapse of the Twin Towers. He shares that story in a digital exclusive you'll see at WTRF.com. I'm Catherine Guyon, working for you.
Wow, what a hard story to hear, Catherine. Thank you very much. And up next on 7 News, here at home, the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport also remembered. A look at the community event when we return.